Yeah, more line.
I am like perfect.
I got an
I'm the perfect picture of health.
You are? You got an 8?
Well, except for my weight.
On my weight. I got an overall my D. I got an F.
But everything else is like perfect. Perfect.
Really?
Nothing's out of range.
You're young.
50.
She goes to all of us.
Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Please remember to silence phones and pagers and such. Item number 1, do we have any citizen concerns that are not normally on the agenda tonight? Sir, could you come up to the podium, please? Give us your name and address.
Okay. My name is John Smith, and I live at 1245 Buchanan Avenue in Sioux City here.
That sounds like a made-up name.
I won't get into that. But anyway, my concern is the four-wheeler, the dune buggies that you're thinking about letting go on the county roads, the gravel roads. Well, I've lived out there on Buchanan for over 25 years. I don't know if any of you have been between.
I know exactly where you're at.
Okay. And you know how hilly and pitched it is and curvy. Well, and there is four-wheelers out there now. Not a lot, but it's a dangerous situation. Very dangerous. You come up, it's right in back of old roller coaster hill, you know. That's why I moved out there. Get away from the traffic. More and more traffic has been coming. People are building houses out there. But I don't know. A lot of roads, gravel roads, are straight shot and you can see far, and that's fine. But again, on Buchanan, very curvy, very hilly. Just wanted to, I know everybody was for that the last one. I happened to see it on the news. I thought I better come down and be a stick in the mud for that. But anyway.
This is, and I remember from city council, you know, seeing you there, and this is actually a different jurisdiction.
Oh.
So the city limits is different from the county roads, and the county roads were, you know, we're talking like people that have their 6-seater ATVs, that a lot of those guys go from like Bronson out to somebody's house in the country and just want that to be
That'd be
legal.
fine. I mean, I can see that.
And so this is a little different. As far as I know, the city of Sioux City still has them as not legal on city streets. And, you know, the individuals, of course, that are doing this in your neighborhood are not known to be the best individuals or people that are going to follow the laws no matter what they are anyway.
Yeah, it's, and I've noticed even when they were riding out there, coming up over one of those steep hills, well, they're out there slow. I mean, it's just an accident waiting to happen is my concern.
Well, some of those gravel roads are barely more than a lane.
Oh,
you know.
yeah. Well, they have gotten better, I will say that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I want to be the one dissent person. Thanks.
You bet. Thank
Thanks,
you.
John. Good seeing you again.
Mr. Chair?
Sir.
Can I just bring up something related while we're sort of on the topic? Where are we at in the process for the second reading of that? Is that coming up in the next week or two or three?
As I understand it, after talking to the county attorney, Mr. Whitman, we probably need to maybe go back to square one. We reinterpret the first reading with an ordinance that's more or less so the proposed ordinance that's more or less complete. So probably we'll looking with the county attorney, we'll probably looking somewhere late January, early February before we get serious about it again.
Okay.
To get the language in it between the sheriff's office.
And if I could just bring up one constituent concern that I I heard if that's copacetic, I received a call from a concerned constituent, and I thought very reasonable and thoughtful, not necessarily against it at all, but wanted to see if there's an instance, for example, where somebody's in violation, let's say a youth, young person, there may be an accident, but maybe it's discretionary, whether or not law enforcement issues a citation, and she didn't know if there would be shall language versus may, because I think she was of the opinion that sometimes, especially when there's some sort of accident, you know, it feels like it's the wrong time to necessarily cite someone. But I think her concern is well taken, especially if there's a parental responsibility component of that, because, you know, whether the keys are hanging on the bulletin board or not, it seems like there should be some, I know we do that with the schools to a certain degree if there's attendance issues. So I just thought I'd offer that as food for thought and be a conduit. I thought she was very reasoned and thoughtful in the way she was approaching it, but just wanted to see if that's something that we could potentially look at. And I don't know how it reads right now, if law enforcement must issue that, or if it's something that may be done. So I kind of looked to anybody.
I would never want to see one say they must, or that they, you know, may or something is fine, but to take away the discretionary of the officer, I wouldn't want to take that away, because we're not there to see what the instance is. Yeah, one might be an action, okay, in that case, we'd all think, well, they should get a ticket, but the other one may be running an errand for somebody that's sick. Okay, let that one slide. But I just hate to put anything that says they must do this. I remember the very first year they brought in domestic abuse, and not against that, but they made the laws that if you threaten somebody, the officer must make an arrest. And that blew up in our faces so bad, because she would say, well, he threatened me, and he'd say, she threatened me too. We had to arrest them both. And the next year, the legislature said, okay, maybe that must isn't such a good thing. It's just, you know, that's why I just hate to tie the hands of putting it as a definitive citation. That's just my feelings, but.
And I think and I'm not arguing against that. I think her worry was that if it's just may and sort of kind of a look the other way thing, I don't know. I just wanted to convey her opinion.
And I had two similar ones after the last hearing. People called me. One's a retired policeman, and he just says, well, the simple fact that I heard the sheriff say, well, now if we see him drive, we just wave and keep on moving. That didn't sit well with him.
Right.
He said, well, then don't even have the law in the book, you know. And that's the danger between must and shall, or now because if the law's there now and they're not doing it.
So I don't know if there's a way to thread the needle between must and shall, but if there's any suggested language to make it more,
Quite
especially
possibly
if
could,
it's,
maybe.
yeah, if it's at a certain level, or there's irreparable harm. I don't know, but I just thought I'd offer that up if there's something that you might look at, Joshua. I thought her point was well taken. I think your point's well taken. So,
Not a feel-good ordinance, basically.
right, that there's something that if this is going to be on the books, then it ought to be on the books. So I don't know, not telling anybody how to, just conveying some information.
You'll consider that when you're drafting this, correct, Mr. Chair?
Well, then the conversation came up, should it be a ordinance or should it be a resolution? And I think for all concerned, we'd like to have an ordinance that has some teeth in it and something that's enforceable, and
I think so too.
so, well, thank you. Are we ready to move on? I will move approval of today's agenda.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Raddick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Items 3 through 6 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3 is approval of the minutes of the November 9, 2018 special meeting. Approval of the minutes of the November 13th, 2018 meeting. and approval of the minutes of the November 14, 2018 special meeting. Item 4 is approval of claims. Item 5, Board Administration, approval of resolution thanking and commending Angela Funderman for years of service with Woodbury County. Item 6, Human Resources. Item A, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions. B, approval of contractual agreement with Innovative Business Consultants for flexible spending administration. Is there anything we need to know about that last one, Melissa? Pretty cut and dried stuff. I will move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by DeWitt, second by Radig to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 7, County Sheriff, approval of purchase of new Atom dictaphone system from transcriptiongear.com.
Todd Witt, Sheriff's Office. What you have in front of you is a request to purchase a new dictaphone system that we share with the Sioux City Police Department. We were originally planning on budgeting for this next year when the equipment was due to be replaced. Earlier this summer, the Sioux City Police Department contacted me and told me that Nuance, the company that provides our dictaphone system, was going out of business, and they were no longer going to support the current dictaphone system that we have now, and they will stop supporting that system sometime in January of 2019. So myself and members of the Sioux City Police Department and WCICC started meeting and looking at all of our options, and this is the proposal that we have in front of you. 4.5 years ago, when we started working with the police department, at that time our dictaphone system was on its last leg, and it was decided then that rather than spending this kind of money for our own dictaphone system, we would just get on board with the Sioux City Police Department's dictaphone system, since it was big enough to handle both our office and their department. At that time, it was decided that they would purchase the new equipment, hardware, software, and that we would pay for the maintenance agreement or the contractual service to keep the system going for 5 years, each year annually. We then said that it would be, that after that 5-year term was up, then the sheriff's office would purchase the hardware and the software, and the Sioux City Police Department would provide the service contract over a 5-year period. We just flip-flop back and forth as we went through life. So
out of curiosity, would this maybe be better in the future to have it under WCICC and then just have it be evenly split all the time?
That was I'm going off of the agreement we made
Back when?
back 4.5, 5 years ago. So it's where we were at. They purchased the hardware and the software. Then we told them we would do it this time around, and then they contacted us and told us they weren't going to support it until a year from now, which we were originally, that's originally what the contract was for, was the agreement was with Nuance. So now here we are, not even able to budget for it like we had planned on.
Mr. Chair,
Sir.
you're confident that this is the most cost-effective way?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay.
we looked at 3 or 4 different companies, and actually, I think 3 of the companies actually sold this Atom system, but transcriptiongear.com gave us the best price on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
The Nuance system that we were originally going to look at purchasing if they were going to remain in business would have been significantly more than this. So in a sense, this saved us a little bit of money.
So my only other question then is, I know we were scheduled to have this appear on the FY20 budget.
Yes.
Circumstances outside of your control dictated that it be
Correct.
earlier than that. So now we look to Mr. Butler. your salary reduction, gaming revenue, what are you?
Gaming revenue, we have $124,000 that's unobligated. Other item would be see what their budget looks like toward the end of the year, see if they can cover within their budget. If they can't, it's a budget amendment to pay through cash reserves. You have three options. Get out of their budget, cash reserves, gaming revenue.
How much did you say is left in gaming?
$124,000.
What's the ongoing cost,
Service contract.
if any? Yeah.
But it's just short of 2,500 a year. Over 5 years. That's the life of the system. That's all they'll guarantee it for. And then you end up buying a new system. It gets a lot of heavy use. I mean, you're talking about 100 and some city officers are on it. And there's roughly about 100 of us, because our jail also dictates to the system, so there's about 100 people on it from the county too. So we share it pretty evenly.
But they're paying, did you say that they're gonna pay the 2,500 a month?
We will, yeah, they'll pay the 2,500 out
Or,
of
a
this
year.
agreement. And we pay for the hardware and the software this time around.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 years from now,
We'll
we'll
flip back
flip-flop
again.
Yep.
So, is there any interest in looking at this becoming something under WCICC since it is technology related, and that way we split the cost evenly all the time? I mean, I don't know if that's. Because obviously not every year it's going to be an even. It's a little just.
Well, it's not even this year. Why, this would be a good year to do that.
Exactly. Then we're talking, we'll spend about 8,000 this year and about 1,250 the next 5 years.
But are they gonna go back and say, well, wait a second, we purchased hardware and software for the current nuance system, now
Water
you're.
under the
think
bridge.
they'd-
Yeah, well, you're on the county side now, aren't you? No, I know what you mean, but I just wonder if they're gonna see that as, you know what I'm saying, if they purchase and now it's
So
our
when
turn to
something
purchase.
has an issue, who do you call when there's an issue with the dictaphone system?
The Adam, the company that provides it.
No, before. Like the last 5 years, have you ever had any issues with it?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Call Nuance.
Yeah, we call Nuance.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the company that we previously have. or
Okay,
have
so you
now.
don't, no one from IT here has ever done
No,
it?
actually, it's Randy Campbell from our office and Kathy Fry from the city.
City, okay,
Yeah, they know everything about this system, and
okay.
they eat and sleep this system. They know how to use it, how to generate reports off of it. If there's an issue, they're pretty good at figuring out the problem. If they can't, then they call now Nuance's tech support, and they work.
Okay.
What was the cost before? Do you remember, was it about this
It
cost?
was over 20,000, I can tell you that much. This system is significantly
So
less.
I like,
As far for hardware and software. I think the service contract was about the same.
I like Keith's idea 4 years from now. And the reason I say that is I think it makes sense. But I just feel like if the Sioux City PD said, we paid $20,000 and then you paid the 4 years at $2,500, and then it came time for you to pay the $16,000, you said, well, let's split it now. So we're gonna, but I think after 4 years, then
I would
we
agree.
both have done.
And we can go back, and I know that we have the capability going back and looking to see who is exactly using what percentage of the system. The city might be using 60% of it, we might be using 40, it could be 55, 45, something. I mean, we
that's how
know how
W-
many minutes are on that machine.
That's how WCICC would bill it, wouldn't they, according to usage? So that
Yeah.
would make more sense. But you're right, I think if we wanted to do that now, we'd kind of be reneging on our agreement. When are we planning on?
Yeah,
ordering
5 years
this?
from, well, Nuance is going to stop supporting our system.
January.
In sometime middle of January, so And I do know that about a week ago, the city was having an issue.
So what did we pay for nuances last year? Because it was out of our budget.
20,000, just over.
No, that was out of our
For
budget.
for the service contract?
Service contract.
I think it was right around $3,000. I'm
Really?
not
So this
sure.
is even gonna be like less than that.
The service contract's a little less on this one too.
Should have broke sooner.
I think the hardware got cheaper just because of technology improvements over time.
Maybe there's more people in more vendors out there now. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about this stuff. I just present it. There were varying quotes. I do know that for the same dictaphone system. Like I said, this one, I think out of 3 was the least expensive. And they were Atom systems, I believe.
Just a matter of where to get the money, I would presume.
Well, yeah, I think that was next. Are you done with your comments?
Yep.
Suggestions, recommendations, whatever, what are we thinking?
Is the number of licenses the same?
I can't, I've got to look back here.
It said, it's what, 6, I think?
Did we already pay nuance for this year?
For half of the year, I believe, yeah.
Oh, okay, there we got 1,500 right there.
Yeah, I was going to ask about getting something back from.
I'm not sure how
but they're
those
going out of
licenses are
business, so.
split.
So that would be the easiest way to split.
1 port license per channel required, that says 6.
The licenses are $5.95 each, so I think it would be usage myself, looking at the number of minutes that we average compared to the cities, if that's something you're going to look at down the road on how to pay for it in the future.
Are you WCICC?
Marty and I?
You're on it?
Us two are.
I got something to bring up in the future.
Which source of revenue would you, Amy?
Looking for a recommendation, Mr. Butler, what's,
You always try to preserve your cash reserves in general basic fund. You have money in gaming, I'd use gaming.
It's a one-time purchase.
One time per.
I'll move approval of this with the money coming out of the gaming.
motion by Potabom, second by Ung, to make this purchase with funding coming from gaming. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Major. Item 8, secondary roads. Approval of plans for project number 136.
This is for asphalt overlay of County Road D38. It'll include cold in place recycling. It'll be very similar to the project we did on L36. Or L37, I'm sorry. Recommend approval of the plans.
I will move that.
Second, motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt to approve project number 136. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes 5-0. Item B, approval of plans for project number 137.
This project's being done in conjunction with Plymouth County. They're resurfacing K-49 in Plymouth County. This will continue at the 1 mile from the Plymouth County line down to County Road D12.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by
Raddick.
Raddick. That's 2 miles, isn't it?
1
Or
mile.
1 mile, okay, yep. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Pass 5-0. Item C, approval of contract and bond for project number U51.
The contractor, Graves Construction, has returned the signed contract for replacement of Bridge U51 on 320th Street. Total contract price, $475,343.66. I recommend approval of the contract.
I'll move it.
Motion by Raddick, second by Taylor to approve contract. Further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item B, approval of contract for bridge inspection contract for 2019.
Each year, we do a little over half of our system. Next year, we'll be having 172 structures that are due for reinspection. Those 172 structures are also in the middle of a project to upload or update all of our loading calculations. We now have 2 new legal trucks to deal with on the county road system, and we need to determine whether or not those bridges are adequate for that new truck. But I recommend we continue with Calhoun Burns and Associates for our contract for 2019.
I'll move that.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by Ung. Further questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 8E, approval of resolution to set load limits on county bridges.
As a result of our inspections last year, there were a number of bridges that required a reduction in their posted load capacity. None of these had brand new posting, and a couple of them are 1 truck on a bridge, which allows legal trucks, as long as there's only 1 at a time, to cross the bridge. It's the least restrictive posting we can put on, and still allows most truck traffic to continue. I recommend approval of the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Raddick. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0.
This also requires the signature of the county auditor. And that's it for the day.
Thank you, Mark. Item 9, reports on committee meetings.
Sir. On Saturday, I again accepted the invitation of organizers to speak at the annual adoption Saturday in the courthouse. It was a great event, good use of the courthouse, and appreciate everyone that facilitated that. This time there was a record number of children being adopted, 21 by 15 families. And last time when I spoke last year, I wasn't a CASA volunteer, but this year I am. And I learned that every single one of those adoptions was a solution to a case where parental rights had been terminated. And so it was humbling to know that, because you don't think that that's the circumstance when you hear about these adoptions, but 100% is what I was told on Saturday is the children were victims of those situations. So appreciate the people in our community stepping up and putting a good face on our community, and for doing so in the courthouse. Is an honor to host them and speak to them.
Thank you. Any other? Cheers.
I had nothing.
Item 10, round 2 of citizen concerns.
Melissa Thomas, Human Resources Director. I've been working with Wellmark for our 2019 renewal, and utilizing their suggested rates, I am going to suggest a 0 increase for our health plan for next year. So just want to bring that good news.
Thank you. Any other citizen concerns? Item 11, board concerns. I will start. Does anybody on the board have any interest in speaking at the Native Americans Lost Children's event tomorrow here in the lobby at around 10:30, 11 o'clock?
I've got to work.
Won't be able to.
We've got a committee meeting.
Oh, that's right, you're going. Mr. Reddick, are you off tomorrow?
No, I'm working.
Okay.
I'm working extra, actually.
Any other board concerns, other than that, like Mr. Auditor Gill said, we are back live on YouTube?
Up and running.
I hope there's enough data out there to support all the new viewers. That too. Any other questions, comments? We are adjourned.